exclusively pumping, latching problems, hooked to the pump every 3 hours, night pumps, supply problems. All right, guys, so here it comes down to it. Do you really care about your baby getting breast milk? Because I do. If you don't, no need for you to watch this video. I'm going to talk about how to make enough breast milk when you're exclusively pumping for your babies, and how to upkeep it, and how to reduce the number of pumps and still keep the same output over time. So this is the video for you. First of all, I want to let you guys know that I will soon upload my weight loss journey series, and it's going to be a live weight loss journey. So I really need your support. Please subscribe and watch me do it, and hopefully I can do it. Okay, so to start with, I'm not going to go into too much detail on what exactly happened, on why both my babies in the last 2 years, I've had 2 babies, were not able to latch. That's again another separate video, but I will tell you that they were not able to latch against my will, unfortunately. And so I've had to exclusively pump, and I'm talking about every 3 hours or every 2.5 hours to 3. And it's been a brutal journey. So unfortunately with my first, I did not make enough breast milk. So my first had to be supplemented with formula. Though my second, I will tell you that I am an oversupplier with my second, and he's currently 4.5 months old. And I make enough to give my first, which is my toddler, and my second, and still put away some milk, which I will show you now. I am so proud of myself, first of all, to have that stash. It's been a journey to get there, especially from pumping maybe just 20 ounces a day with my first to 50 to 60 ounces with my second. So here are the tips. I'm not gonna make you wait any longer. Here are my tips. First thing you need to do is, as soon as your baby is born, nurse. If you can nurse as much as you can, and you'll notice that your baby will go through a cluster feeding period at the beginning when they're a few weeks old, and that's going to be pretty brutal, but that's when you will build your supply. If you have latch issues from the very get-go, you will need to pump. Keep pumping. Of course, don't overdo it because you'll damage the tissue, but at the beginning, keep pumping. With my first, I did not start pumping for maybe 8 hours after I gave birth. Biggest mistake. Also, I did not have any overnight pumps because I didn't know any better. So again, big mistake because I never ended up making enough milk for him. With my second, I pumped exclusively, starting at around 3 weeks, for every 2.5 hours to 3 hours, including overnight. Like, I would go to sleep at 10 o'clock, I would get up and pump again at 12. I would go to sleep again, I would get up and pump again at 3 or 4 a.m. I would go to sleep again and get up and pump at 7 a.m. So it was a non-stop, I was pretty much attached to the wall that whole time. But I knew what I was getting myself into, so it was not as difficult as my first. So that's my number 1 tip, is you need to pump, and the frequency of pumping, and nurse if you can. Second thing you really need to worry about is hydration. If you're not hydrated, and if you don't have, if your body thinks you're dehydrated, your body is not gonna make milk. So the second thing you need to worry about is being hydrated. And so I drink around, I want to let you know that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nursing consultant. This is strictly out of my experience, just to let you know. But what I do is I drink around 1 gallon of water a day, and I make sure to get my electrolytes. No, do not drink Gatorade. No, 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 no. That is because it's full of sugar. Sugar will make you have thrush, yeast, basically, a yeast infection on the nipples. So you want to stay away from that. So I did some research and I found an electrolyte powder that is very low on sugar, and also is really good for the weight loss journey that I'm about to go on, as well as low on sugar, so you don't have to keep getting yeast infections if you're prone to that. So this electrolyte powder is the Ultima one, and I get it off Amazon. It has 0 sugar, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely I do this once a day, so that's for hydration. I do want to make sure that you're also, you know, as you're aware, when you're breastfeeding, you tend to get leached from the vitamins and minerals, and so you want to make sure that you continue on supplements. I would recommend, again, this is what I've been told, so I'd recommend that you continue on prenatals or just a regular women's supplement, but again, I would just go with prenatals. That's what I'm currently still taking. I also do vitamin D, and in regards to the IUs, I would ask your doctor. I can't tell you what you need. I have been prone to vitamin D deficiency, so I take 5,000 IUs a day. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, you need to care about what you're eating. And again, the weight loss journey we'll discuss later, but you need to make sure you're getting in enough protein and enough fat. You don't want to cut those out. You want to make sure you're not just eating bread all day. You need the protein to make milk. You might have also heard this, fenugreek supplements, and what I have to say about fenugreek is there are lots of mixed reviews on that. Some people say that fenugreek can do the opposite, which is reduce your volume rather than increase it. So I've been very weary of it, and so I used it for a little bit, and then I didn't really see much difference, so I stopped. And I didn't want it to have the opposite effect on me, so I didn't do it anymore. Oatmeal and those lactation cookies and all those commercial things that are out there to get you to make more milk, word of caution, they're full of sugar, or most of them are full of sugar. So make sure that you're looking at the label and make sure that it's not full of sugar, because you might think you're doing yourself a favor by eating those really high sugar oatmeal cookies, but you're not, if it's actually going to hurt you by loading you up with too much sugar. So if it's up to you, go out and just buy oatmeal. No sugar, nothing, just oatmeal with some water, with some milk, and eat that if you really want to increase your supply. So yeah, I'm very wary about sugar. I also heard of some people using brewer's yeast. I've never used it, but again, I'm too scared of using it because of the recurrence of yeast infections. So I have stayed away from that, but you know, some people have had luck with that. The 5th thing I want to talk about is, and I think it's actually one of the most important ones, is changing up the pump that you use. I have personally had so much luck with that. So I use my Medela predominantly. And my Medela, I used it predominantly with my first, and I never used anything else. And it never really helped me build my supply. So now that I know better, I use my Medela, and then every few days I change it up. So I use my Medela, then I use my manual pump. And the Medela manual pump, which I can show you now, when I pump with it, I usually hold the latch down and basically get a bunch of milk out all at once. I don't keep going like the electric pump, which is pretty rhythmic. I make sure that I hold the latch down and I keep it held down for a little bit, and I found that that's increased my supply for some reason. So this is the manual pump, and basically when I put it on, what I do is I get the milk flowing first, and then once the milk starts flowing, I just hold it down for a little bit until the milk stops flowing, and then I stop and I let it go, and then I go again. And again, I try to imitate the baby's mouth by being unpredictable. So I might pump, keep it down for a little bit, stop, and then pump a few times like this, and then stop. And so basically my body just reacts better to that. So that's another tip on the manual pump. And yes, that's my cute little baby playing ball. Also, I have the Willow pump, and you'll see from my other video that the Willow pump is actually very effective in drawing out milk, and it's been probably when it comes to electric pumps, it's been the most effective in emptying me out, and it empties me out in 5 minutes, comparing to my Medela, which can take 15 to 20 minutes. So I found that when I use the Willow pump, all of a sudden my slacker boob, which is my right boob, went from making 1 to 2 ounces to 4 to 5 ounces. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I knew this with my first baby. So definitely change up the pumps, because naturally your baby on some days will eat a lot more than other days. So I think our bodies respond better to unpredictable changing behavior. So my body definitely made more milk. So right now, just to give you an overview of how many times I pumped. When the baby was first born, 3 weeks into it, and I'm talking about my second baby, I pumped 8 times within 24 hours. And yes, that's 2 overnight pumps. My baby turned around 14 weeks old. I cut it down to 7 pumps. Believe it or not, I did not lose any ounces. And then again, my baby turned around 3.5 months old, and then I dropped it down to 6 pumps within 24 hours. So I dropped 2 pumps, but I still get around 50 ounces a day, or I should say 50 ounces within 24 hours. It's been amazing. And you know, some people will tell you drop a pump and they'll lose the ounces that they get from that pump, but there are ways to make sure that you don't lose it, and that is by not dropping it too soon. If you drop a pump too soon, you might end up losing your ounces. You want to wait until your supply regulates, which is around 6 weeks, before you even start to think about reducing pumps. I will tell you, I was on the conservative side, and I did not drop a pump until after 12 weeks. And I think it was around 14 weeks when I started dropping pumps. So right now I'm at 5 pumps in the daytime and then 1 pump at night. And usually my pump at night, I get 10 to 13 ounces. And then my morning pump is the same way, 10 to 13 ounces. And then my in-between pumps are, sometimes I get 6 on the low side, and sometimes I get 9, which is pretty awesome. So I do definitely supply enough for my current 4-month-old, and I even have enough for my toddler, and I have enough to put away. So I've been really blessed this time around. And then, so what I want to let you know is, you know, everybody's different. My experience may be different from your experience. So see what works best for you. But these are my tips on increasing your supply. Feel free to subscribe. I have many more videos coming to help you through your breastfeeding journey. And for first-time moms, make sure that you don't make the mistakes I made. Thank you for watching.